I grew up in the West, and like many of you, that means growing up in a town and society that is quite different. I'll save you the backstory of how it was so difficult and hard because honestly it wasn't. The people were always so welcoming and kind where I grew up. Nevertheless, being in this society leaves its impact on you. It shapes your goals and your dreams and what you want out of life. So honestly, even though I was born into a Muslim family and I acknowledged Allah's existence, I didn't act like it. I was really distant from him. I didn't really think about that the first 3 years of high school. I just kind of lived like a normal teenager at school and back home. I was quite moody and withdrawn, and honestly, for the most part, left to my own devices. I did what I wanted when I wanted to. I didn't really let anybody judge me. I was having a blast. Only I wasn't. And I knew it deep inside of me. Where teenagers should have guidance and direction, I didn't, largely due to my own ego of not wanting to be told what to do. I was very strong-headed and just did what I wanted to do. I always wanted to be a good human being. I liked being recognized as a good human being, as a good guy. But, spending so much time on the internet, I started losing that goodness inside of me. I started losing myself. I was developing into someone who lacked integrity and honor, but most importantly, who lacked faith. Sometimes things change in the most unexpected ways. I had been learning more about Islam because of a paper I was writing in my creative writing class in the first semester of grade 12. It was about proving the value of waiting until marriage, but from secular sources. But you can't really search up information about that without coming into religious sources, so that's how I kind of found like Islamic videos and stuff, and I started learning. Lots of videos about Islam were coming up. My interest was piqued, but it was more of the secular fascination with religion, where they're interested in learning about it, but not really embracing it. Now, what really moved the needle for me, what really pushed me to embrace Islam, was the ingrown hair. The title of this video. One day in that December, I remember feeling this pain on my back, my lower back area. And it was painful, but as the day progressed, it just got worse and worse to the point where it felt excruciating. I couldn't sleep or eat properly because of how painful it was. And, eventually I ended up in the hospital. And when I got to the hospital, I learned that there was an ingrown hair on my tailbone that had got infected and had swelled to the size of a golf ball. Or even bigger than that, if I remember correctly. And it was so ridiculous to me. Me, this uber healthy and fit guy, healthiest guy in the family, brought down by an ingrown hair. It was offensive to me. I had developed an ego through my time on the internet and through just not really caring about life. I developed a lot of selfish tendencies. I really only cared about myself for a good portion of time. But it was there, while I was laying on the hospital bed, surrounded by a bunch of men who would soon be operating just above my glutes, that I realized how powerless I was, how weak I was. I was known in my family for being healthy and fit. I was super disciplined with it. I cared so much about my body and being strong. Yet there I was, so completely helpless, so completely powerless, and in a humiliating position. And I realized how much I needed Allah. I realized how powerless I was. I had been brought down by an ingrown hair, and it was the exact type of humbling that I needed to overcome the internal barrier I had and seek out my Lord. Embrace Him, embrace His faith. When we're at our lowest and our egos are shattered, it's a time for reflection and a time to realize that all honor, all dignity, all power belongs to Him, not to us, and that it's time to reconnect with Him. It's time to turn back to Him. And it actually, as humiliating as it feels in that moment, is such a blessing to be able to turn to Him in full submission, because we're all going to come before Him in full submission on Judgment Day, but there are those who have turned to Him before that day, in this life. And you do not want to be amongst a group who did not do that, who did not turn to Him while we were in this life. You know, subhanAllah, I was humiliated and honored all with the same event. If you're at your lowest, it does not mean that you have to rot there. Turn back to Him. Turn to Him in repentance. Seek His forgiveness, and you'll find your life transforming for the better.